All right, welcome to week 11 in DBS311. Now, this is the second time I am recording this. I apologize for it not getting up sooner. Had all kinds of problems and ended up having to re-record the whole lesson. So anyways, here we go for lesson try number 2 at week 11 for DBS, continuing our journey down MongoDB. So I'm going to go through a few things. Mainly today's topic is about querying, finding results, and then updating your data using both standard key value pairs and arrays. So let's get into it. Here I have a blank connection here to our database here. In fact, I'm actually going to use this one. So we're going to have our connection to our database. We're just going to create a new playground. Here I have an empty file, and then I'm just going to go ahead and shrink that up. Now, as we go through what I've got going on here, what I want to do is show you a few things. So some of this will be a little bit of repeat of what we had before, and some of it will be new. So let's go ahead and put a comment header in here. And then we're going to go ahead and go MongoDB queries and updating. Okay. And put in my name. Gotta spell it. And you will hear my keyboard clicking away during the recording. My apologies. I have a noisy mechanical keyboard. But anyways. Today is now November the 28th. It was originally supposed to be the 22nd, but since I'm re-recording the episode, it is now November the 28th. All right, so what we're going to do today is go ahead and show a couple things. First thing I want to make sure that everybody knows is that the use command in Visual Studio Code is pretty much useless. Even though I go ahead and I run this, all right, I am actually connected to my ZDD database. So even though I did this, if I go db.student.find, you will see that I am actually getting the results from the ZDD one. If I was to show you what the documents are in this one here, and then run this, you can see they're actually different results. Okay, so it is important to note that the use command is great for command shell and it works perfectly in command shell, but it does not work so well in VS Code. All right, it is essentially pretty much useless. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and make sure that we understand that that use is pretty much useless. Okay, so we're going to start off with a bit of a review of what we did in week 10. So just very quickly, we'll do a couple basics. So when you want to find all documents within a collection, this is the equivalent of select star from table. We basically just do dbstudent.find, and that will literally show all the documents. Let me go ahead and save my file here. It's going to go ahead and go week 11 lecture demo. Okay. I got my file saved in case something goes wrong. So that's basically select star from table. That one's pretty straightforward. Then if we want to filter our criteria, all right, we can go ahead with the syntax here being student.find, and we put in our filter criteria, and we put that in the form of a JSON object. So if I want to find the students where the eye color is brown, now notice I have find one here, and it only found one student, right? But if I want to find where I get even more results, then I want to do something like just the find. There's no find many, for instance. So if I go find here, you can see that I'm getting more than one student. There's one with brown. There's another one here with brown. All right. So we're getting multiple people. So find one. Even if the search results would return more than one row, only one gets returned. And you really don't have any control over which one gets returned. It'll essentially return the first one it finds and then stop looking. Okay. So the next part, which again is review, is to show the different columns. that you want to display. So you can see that this is pretty crazy, all the stuff I get shown over here on the right hand side. All right, so what if I want to say just show me the first name of people with brown eyes? Okay, so I can run a command like this. So this basically is the syntax is db collection.find and then the where condition, comma, the key pairs to return. Okay, and use the one indicate yes, I want to do that. I believe you can also put the word true there, but obviously one is shorter. And in the results here, you can see now we're just getting the first names of the people with brown eyes, but it also includes the ID field. So the ID field is included by default. So if you do not want to show the ID field, you basically then go ahead and add ID 0 into the mix here. Okay, so you go ahead and add ID 0 like so. We run it, and now you can see we're just getting the first name. So all of that is somewhat review from week 10. So now, obviously, we want to get into more advanced where clauses, things with greater than, less than, in, not in, those kind of things. So there are a bunch of operators which we're going to look at over the next few minutes. All right, and here they are on the screen. So greater than or equal to, less than or equal to, not equal to, in, not in, and last but not least, exists. Okay, so let's go ahead and do some examples. So we're going to go ahead and say show all students with a favorite number of 4, or let's just say with a favorite number of 4. So we would go db.student, db.student.find, having a fav num equal to 4. Okay, and so when we run that, we end up finding that Sally Smothers here has a favorite number of 4. So let's do the same thing, except 4 or more. Okay, so greater than 4. So the way we do this is essentially take the same command, but replace the value with an operator. And so the operator needs to be in curly braces like this. So we're going to throw in some more curly braces, okay? And like so, okay? And then inside the curly braces, we're going to put a set operator greater than or equal to 4, like so. And when we run that, you can see now we get the favorite number of 4, but we also got the 7, okay? There you go. So that's pretty easy. Let's say you want to show all the students whose favorite number, with a favorite number between 4 and 6. Let's do 6, okay? Between 4 and 6. So again, we're going to take the same statement, and what we're going to do is put a comma here inside this document, because that comma will act like an and here we're going to put $, less than or equal to 6. Okay, so when we say between, we typically mean inclusive. So if I say pick a number between 1 and 10, well, 1 and 10 are both valid, so it's inclusive. So we will do that as inclusive, and you can see we only get the 4. Just show you, if we put a 7 here, we should get the other one with 7. There you go, it comes up with 7. Right? I'll change it back to a 6 so the file's correct, right? But as you can see, we can get ranges now based on stuff like that. Okay. Now we can also go ahead and say, all right, just show me the first name and the favorite number. All right. So for all of these, I can go comma fname : 1, comma fav num 1, like so. Okay. And so I'm going to go ahead and just run the one with the 4, and you can see now we only get the ID, first name, and favorite numbers. Okay. I'm going to copy that here into this one. So, okay. Let me just zoom out a bit here. All right, there we go. So I can run this now, like so. And as you can see, we only get Sally, but only first name, last name, first name, favorite number, and the ID field. All right, So what about showing all students whose fave num is not 4? Okay, so we can take this greater than or equal to one here and simply change that operator from greater than or equal to not equals. And so when I run this, we will get all of them where the favorite number is not 4. Okay, but what I want you to notice here is note that we're getting people who don't even have a favorite number. See, there's Jennifer with a 7, but we're getting people who don't even have a 7. Okay, so in other words, the not equals to will also include not exists, so it doesn't exist. So if we want to show all the students whose favorite number is not 4, but a fav num exists, we're going to do the equivalent of an and statement here. All right, so essentially we're going to take this same statement right here and we're going to put a comma right here. So we have our first where criteria here, comma, so that'll be an and then we can use another one which is exists. Okay, and put a 1 here. So now, actually that's not right. Let's undo that. That needs to be inside here. So it's because we're applying it to the favorite number, it needs to be inside these curly braces. Okay, so this is the favorite number is not equal to 4 and exists. And you can either put the word true here or you can put a 1. Both will work. And so if I run this, you can see now we only get people whose favorite number is not 4, but there is a favorite number as key. So we're getting rid of all the people who don't have a favorite number. Okay, so making sure that you understand the details of keys existing and not existing and how that may influence your answers is quite important. Okay, so that's that one. So far we've done several things with and. Okay, so for instance, when we put a comma like this, then that is like an and statement. So how do we do things that's an or statement? Okay, so we could do something like this. I'm going to copy and paste so it'll just be faster. Okay, so show all the students whose favorite number is 4 or 7. Okay, so it's 4 or 7. So what we can do here with 4 or 7 is we have to start with the operator here. Okay, so this is a little different than the other ones. For the other ones, we did the key name, and then in the value, we created a subdocument where the operators were. In the or and the and, they both basically work the same way. You put the or operator first, followed by an array of the filters. Okay, so what that means is each one of these criteria inside the or condition will be separated by an or. So if I provide 3 criteria, it'll be criteria A or B or C. Okay, in this particular case, we're doing find where the favorite number is 4 or the favorite number is 7. Okay, that's pretty cool. And again, this is just showing which columns we want to show. So if I run this one, you can see we'll get the 2 with the 4 and the 7. Okay, you can also do we'll come back to the other one. All right, so if you do that, let's say we want to show all the students whose favorite number is 4 or 7 and their eye color is blue. Okay, so we could basically take this exact same statement and right here are the criteria. Okay, so what we want to do is right after the array, inside these brackets, because these purple brackets right here represent the entire condition. So if I go comma, I can say eye color blue, like so. So this is going to be an and here. And because of the square brackets and the array, then that's all done first. So it does all the ORs and then takes the result of that and does and this. Okay? So order does work more left to right in Mongo than it does in relational databases, where order of precedence says and always goes first. Okay? Where this will really work left to right, basically. Okay? So if I go ahead and run that, you can see we get the favorite number. And if I go ahead and show the eye color here with a 1, you can see that when I run that, Jennifer, in fact, has blue eyes. And please also note that the person with favorite number 4, which is, I believe, is Sally, is not there. Okay? So that makes it very clear that the and, excuse me, the and is applying outside of the or, right? All right. The next thing I want to show you guys is that all this, let me actually just clarify this right here. The comma in the middle acts like an and. Okay? All right. So that's just in the file so that you can see. All right. So let's say, how do we do this in an array, for instance? All right. Or let's do the and statement. So if we were to do the and statement, okay, let's do something like db.student.find, and here we're going to do inside the document, okay, we are going to do an and criteria, and then again we have to provide an array of documents, like so. Okay, so that's the format there. Then when we go into it, we can say, okay, let's get a favorite number is 7, and eye color is blue, like so. Okay, so we can do things very quickly. Now, this is the exact same as, we're gonna spell. Is the exact same as if I was to do this and get rid of the and altogether. I could do get rid of that document, get rid of that. I could do this, right? So these are going to give me the exact same results. We're going to get Jennifer Smith here. And when I show each one here, you can see we get the exact same results. So these are exactly the same. However, this can be used as you're importing an array. So if you're manually building it, this is probably faster. But if you're using software and looping and stuff to build your and array, then obviously this is better because I could just put the name of an array right here. Okay? So although this seems quicker and easier down here, it depends on your context of where this is coming from. If you're in software, then this is probably easier. If you're just building it manually, then this is probably easier. Okay? There's the in statement. All right? So we're going to do the equivalent. So we could do something like db.student.find. Okay? And I'm going to go ahead and find with a favorite number. Okay? And again, we're going to put a value set in here. So we're going to say with a favorite number is $in colon, and then we're going to provide an array. So I'll say 4, 7. Okay? So I can go ahead and run this, and it should give me all the people whose favorite number is 4 or 7. And people who don't have a favorite number that doesn't exist are ignored. So that's fairly straightforward. I'm not going to spend any more time on in because it's exactly the same basically as we did in SQL. Okay? But not in is slightly different. So in this particular case, I'm going to say where we're not in, And this time I'll choose like 1, 2, 7. Okay? And so I'm going to say, give me all the students where the favorite number is not 1, 2, or 7. Okay? When I run this, though, I get a curious result. Okay? Oh, I said in. Let's say nin for not in. Okay? I want that nin. Let's run that again. So I get a curious result. And you can see that I'm getting lots of people here. Let me go ahead and run that again. I messed it up. Highlight this. Run it. There we go. So you can see here that we're getting several documents here. There's a favorite number 4. But we're getting all of the documents where the favorite number is not 1, 2, or 7. Even those that favorite number doesn't exist. So the non-existing favorite numbers is obviously not in this. Okay? So if we want to say not in but exists, so only show me the ones that exist but they're not in this range, we have to do this, where we go where the favorite number is not in this array, comma, exists, colon, 1 for true. Okay? So in this case, we'll only get them where the favorite number exists, but it's not a 1, 2, or a 7. And we should just get Sally. And there we go. We got Sally, whose favorite number is 4. So all the ones where the favorite number doesn't exist are not included. So depends on what you're doing, what your question is, which version you're going to use. Okay? Now, one benefit of me having to re-record this video is that I had mentioned in our lab periods about the all command and how that was going to change. All right? And beknownst to me, knowing this was going to change, it actually has changed. Okay? So what's funny here is now, so in the last version of Mongo, in and all used to basically do the same thing, but now they actually do something different. So all means we do it the exact same as we do an in command here, but it means all of these have to be true. So doing this with favorite number doesn't really make much sense, because if there's only one favorite number, then you can't have all of an array of favorite numbers, because you only have one, so you can't have all of them. Okay, so it works fine with an in, but with an all, it doesn't make sense. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna say, let's just do it for giggles. Let's see what this is gonna do. So if we do an all, so we say find the students where the favorite number has all of 4 and 7. So we would just suspect if it was the same as in, we would get 2 records. But as you can see, we get no results. And that's because that change that I was talking about in lab class has actually already occurred. I was telling you it was coming, but it's actually already here, which is really good. So all is now very different than in. So all basically says it has to match all of these. So now all doesn't really apply to single key value pairs. It really now applies to arrays. So a better example of this would be looking at the students. So let's just run a basic find here. Okay, we'll run a basic find. And as you can see, we have one of the students has a list of courses. And we want to find a student who takes 2 particular courses at the same time. Okay, so I know that Web322 and DBS311 overlap a lot in this particular term, because there's a lot of overlap work and object-oriented programming to a point as well. All right, but when we work with arrays here, we can basically say something like db.student.find. Okay, and this time we're going to say where courses, which is the name of the array, and then we're going to put the in here where we put $all and then provide an array. Okay, and in that array we're going to provide multiple criteria. So in this particular case, I'm going to put, actually for this one I don't need the criteria because I'm using the same key. All right, so this isn't a subdocument, this is just an array of strings. So I just need to put strings in here. So if I put DBS311 and Web322. So I want to list all the students who are taking both of these courses. So I could say where student courses, how do you do that? It's an array, right? Student.courses equals DBS311 and student.courses equals Web322. Well, in this case, you can just say it has to be all of these. So if I go ahead and run this, you see that I get Raj because he's taking both of these. Now, remember, these are case sensitive. So if I change that to a capital W, I'm now going to get no results, like so. Okay, they are case sensitive, so you got to be careful with that. Okay, so we will go ahead and put that in there as case sensitive. There we go. And as you can see, we get the right results. Okay, because they're taking both of those courses. It's not one or the other, it's both. If it's one or the other, then you'd want to do in, right? But we want both. So now this is with value arrays. Okay, and so let's now do this with object arrays. Okay, we're going to do this with object arrays. So an object array, this is a value array where you have a key and just a bunch of values. That's a value array. An object array is, let me run this again. Okay, an object array, if you remember, would be like Mark, the student here, where the marks are an array of objects with multiple keys in each object. So this is an array. This is an array of values, but this is an array of objects. Okay, so there's the difference between the two. So how do we find where a student has courses, multiple courses, but the courses are inside of objects that are inside an array? So the way you do this is essentially the same as this, okay? Except instead of courses here, we're gonna put the actual array. So it'll be marks dot courses, or just course, sorry, because this is just that course. So if I do that, show me all the students who have marks for courses and they've taken DBS 311 and 322 at the same time. Now when I run this, I'm gonna get an error, okay? I get this error, unexpected token, expected, comma, all right? And it's not liking this dot. And I can tell this because that marks is white, okay? What has to happen is when you're doing this dot notation, you must put it inside quotes, all right? So when you're doing an array of objects and you're using the dot notation to drill down inside the array of objects, you must put the entire thing inside quotes, all right? This is one of the only cases when quotes are absolutely required, okay? So we'll go ahead and do that. And as you can see here, we got Mark's record with the courses that he took, okay? And again, this is case sensitive. So if I was to spell that incorrectly, go ahead and get that incorrect, okay? So that's pretty interesting to see how you drill down inside of value arrays, how you drill down inside of object arrays, okay? So again, with the object arrays, if you're using dot notation, the entire path must be inside quotes, okay? You cannot have a dot inside of a key name unless it's inside quotes, okay? So that doesn't work. You can't put a special symbol in the key name here. So anytime you have to put a special symbol in the key names, then they must be inside quotes. I think that's pretty straightforward. We can do the sizes of arrays. Okay, now this gets a little hairy because they've actually taken some features away from us. I showed in the lab on Monday a way you can do some greater than or equal to arrays, but it turns out they've actually taken that away from us. I'll show you that right now. So we can say, okay, so we've got Mark has 5 marks here, okay? And if I, again, go up to the very top here and run this, you can see that Raj here also takes 5 courses. So let's say we want to show students that are taking exactly 5 courses, okay? So we do that by db.student.find, And then now what we're going to do is we're going to put the curly braces here for first. Then we're going to put the name of the array, which is courses. Now what we're going to use is the value is going to be another key value pair, and we're going to use the size operator, and we're going to say 5. Okay, so this is saying, tell me all the students whose courses array is exactly size 5. And as you can see, we get Raj because he has 5 courses. If I was to say a 4 here, you can see that we will not get anybody. Okay, so that is where the size of the array is exactly 5. Now this next, I'd say, problem, Mongo has taken away a version of that we used to be able to do, and we can't do it anymore. All right, and that is where we could take the size, okay, where we can take the size and put in another operator like so, okay, where we would put in an operator that the size has to be greater than or equal to 5. This used to work in the previous version of Mongo, but as you'll see in a second, it no longer works. It needs a number. So size requires a number. Now, there's a bunch of workarounds, and I'm not going to show you them right now because it's a lot of expressions and going fairly advanced and then bringing JavaScript into it and all that kind of stuff. So I don't think this is actually required in the lab. So we're going to move on from now. And if you need that for your Web 3.2.2 course, then, I mean, Google's your friend. I Googled it, and there's some, as I said, you have to use some built-in expressions and all kinds of crazy stuff. But you can get it to work, but it's about a 4-line solution now instead of just an operator in a 1-line statement. So we're concentrating on 1-line statements right now. Okay? So this no longer works. And there's not really a good alternative. Okay? So I'm going to just say that it used to work, but no longer works. Sad face. Okay? There is not a good alternative. I'm hoping that Mongo realizes that this is something we commonly want to do. Give me all the people who are taking at least 5 courses. Is something we would probably do all the time. List all the days when we had at least 200 customers. All right? So give me a threshold. Tell me when we went over that threshold. And that's something that I see not happening very often. Okay? So we're going to move on to a new topic now. Okay? We're going to move on to updating. Okay? And this is the reason why I left updating so long is because you require the set operator. Okay? And so let's go ahead and put a db.student.find here because I'm going to be using this quite a bit. So I'm just going to go ahead and put it here. There we go. We've got a find. We can see our records. So let's go ahead and update some records. So we're going to update Clint here. We're going to use ID number 1 for all of our updating. We're going to add things, remove them, change them, add arrays, do all kinds of stuff. We're just going to do this one record. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and do our find with our ID 1 in here. Okay. And that should just get the Clint record. There it is. Okay. So let's go ahead and say we want to update this and add a favorite number. Okay. So what we would normally do, okay, and I believe this does still work in Command Shell. Okay. So you can go ahead and do db.student.update. Okay. Say your where criteria, and then you have your set criteria. All right. So in relational databases, you would do update table set field equals value, comma field equals value. It's basically the same, except the where clause is first instead of after. So update where ID is 1, okay, and then set a favorite number of 16. But this is going to error out in Visual Studio Code. It's saying update requires atomic operators. So what it's saying is that there are already operators there, and I haven't provided them. So I must provide them for things that are already there. So I already have a first name and a last name, but I haven't provided them here. All right, if I had provided all of the fields here, then this would work just fine. But because I didn't provide all of them, then this is failing. All right, so as I said, this works in Command Shell, but not in VS Code. But be warned, this is a safety feature, because if I had run this command, even in the Command Shell, then the first name and last name would actually get deleted. So this update works more like a replace, okay? So it doesn't change the unique identifier, so the ID doesn't change, but the only key value pair I would have would be favorite number, and all the other ones get deleted. So to avoid that deletion, okay, we would do, we would change our statement to include the set operator right here. The set operator says, set the favorite number to 16, but leave everything else alone. So if I was to run this command, there you go, it will say acknowledge true, inserted ID null, match count 1, modified count 1. So you can see what got matched, what got modified, okay? And then if I run the find here, you can see that favorite number 16 is now there, okay? So that's pretty straightforward. And you can put multiple, I'm not going to bother doing it, but you can put multiple key value pairs in here, okay? We can do this same thing with JavaScript, okay? Do the same thing with JavaScript, okay? But there's an important thing here. So we're going to say var, I will say my student, okay, is equal to db.student.find, and it must be find1. If you do find, the results is an array. Okay, that's really important. If you do find, the results is an array. Even if there's only one element in the array, it's still an array. But find1 returns a single document. And an array of documents is very different than a single document. So if I was to say find1 here, okay, and then I'm going to just say ID 1, okay? So essentially I am storing this. So must be find 1, okay? It's really important that that's find 1, okay? So we can set the search as a variable name. Then what we can do is we can use dot notation. So my student dot, I don't have eye color in there, so let's add eye color, okay? And we're gonna add blue. I have brown eyes, but we're gonna add blue anyways, okay? And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and go db.student dot replace 1, okay? So we're gonna replace the entire document. Obviously we need our where criteria, but then we can just put the variable here. Because we downloaded the entire document from this search into my student, all of the other keys are still there. This was just adding one, right? So I can use replace now, all right? And I can go ahead and I'll throw this find down here again, okay? So I'm gonna run this, run. Oh, missing semicolon. I'm missing a semicolon here. Where am I missing a semicolon? Oh, this should be equals. There we go. Okay, let's go ahead and run that again. Just the first three. On the first three, run that. Okay, and there we go. Update it, modified count. Okay, and then if I do the find, you can see the eye color blue has been added. Okay, so you can do it just like this with a set command, with a set operator, or you can then go ahead and do this in JavaScript as well. So this is probably safer because you sort of download the whole thing, add something to it, and then replace what you had there with it. So you're replacing the entire document. So just be wary of what each one of these is doing. And the last thing I'm going to show you today is, or there's two more things we're going to show you. We're going to show you the increment operator, okay? And so this is the ability to change a value, okay? So let's go ahead and change Clint's favorite number by increasing it by 4. Okay, so right now my favorite number is 16. Okay, so we're going to change it. And the way we do this is by doing an update, okay, with our where clause, and we use the increment. This is not include or anything like this. This is increment, okay? So it increment the favorite number by, let's put a 4 there, by 4, okay? So we're going to increment that favorite number by 4. So if I run this, it should say modified account 1, okay? And then we'll run the search here, and the search literally is now showing the favorite number as 20. So 4 got added to it, okay? Let's say reduce it by 10, okay? I can literally do the exact same statement and put a negative 10 here, okay? So you have something in inventory and you sell one, so you want to reduce its inventory by 1, for instance. Well, let's say I'm going to reduce it by 10. So I can go ahead and I'll run both of these, and the results you'll see here is we get the favorite number now being 10. So we can move things up and down very quickly, and this is really good for bank balances, for inventory levels, for purchase more than one thing when you're on a shopping cart. I want to buy 4 of those, for instance. Lots of different things why you can increment things, all right? So that's really, really good to do, okay? And the last thing I'm going to show you is the ability to remove keys, okay? So I probably will do one more sample afterwards about updating things, but let's go ahead and do remove keys first, okay? This is done by using the unset operator, okay? So we use the set operator here when we were updating things. Now we're gonna unset, okay? And so this will let's go ahead and remove the fav num from ID 1, okay? And so we're gonna do this by db.student.update, okay? Again, our where criteria, and then we're gonna in our don't do all that, okay? In our criteria we're gonna put in, we're gonna say unset colon, and then we're gonna put a new one here, and you can put multiple ones if you want. So if I was to go fav num1, I could then also go like comma iColor1, okay? Again, the 1 is for true, okay? So I could just go comma and more keys if I want to remove more than one key at a time. Let's just run this. So if I run that, okay, again, modified count of 1, okay? So then if I run the find command here again, oops, if I run the find command again, you can see that the favorite number key has in fact been removed from the document. So it's fairly easy to go ahead and remove things, okay? So that's it for the topics for today, but I do want to show you one more thing with this JavaScript thing right here, is we're going to do the same JavaScript thing right here, but this time we're going to insert an array, okay? So inserting arrays into documents using JavaScript, okay? So we're going to go ahead and define my student as find1, just like we did here. But then what I'm going to do is I'm going to define my student.courses, and I'm going to define this as an array. Okay, so I'm going to put an array right here. And so with the array, I'm going to go ahead and say DBS311, okay, SID, I don't even know what the 422, I don't even know what the codes are, but web 322, put that in brackets, okay? So you can define an array, a JavaScript array like this. So courses is now a JavaScript array. You can put full JavaScript objects in here, so you can have an array of objects. Works just fine. Then I'm going to use replace one with my student, and then we'll find that one. So if I run this particular code here, you'll see that my student now has courses in an array, okay? And if we go way back up here to do our search with list all the students that are taking both DBS311 and Web322, you'll see we now got 2 students because both Clint and Raj have both DBS and Web322, and it doesn't matter what order they're in, okay? As long as they have all of those. So that's pretty cool that you can use JavaScript in order to insert arrays like this too. You can also go ahead and use a set operator and just put an array in here. You can do it the same there too. But it's a matter of, I think this is far easier to do because you're probably going to have your arrays in JavaScript arrays anyways, or even an array of JavaScript objects. And so you can just use the JavaScript straight up the path here to update those arrays and get that in. All right, I'm going to wrap it up right there. I know it is Monday night and this video is going to go up late, and I'll probably talk to you tomorrow on Tuesday before you even watch this video. But we will get caught up. For those of you doing lab number 8, if you need a couple more days because the video was late, that's perfectly fine with me. I won't post the solutions until the weekend, which is a full 4 or 5 days before your final test for studying. All right? So please make sure you understand that Lab 9 is also coming up and that I will be posting the solutions for Lab 9 earlier than normal. So you do not have the normal 3 days for Lab 9. All right, I've already taught you just about everything you need to know for Lab 9. So, because I want to be able to post the solutions before the final test so people can study. All right, and the final test is on the Thursday, which would be the day I would normally post them, and I want to post them a day or 2 early. Okay, so Lab 8, you got a couple extra days, but Lab 9, you have a couple less days. All right, so just a heads up on that one. I'll mention that again in class in week 12. All right, have a good one, everyone. Bye.